Let's make it a good day. Every day. We do it our own way. Sing it out every day. Let's make it a good day. Oh, no matter what they say.
Try to make it a good day every day. Welcome back, everybody. Well, as we approach the summer season, many of you are making lists for books to read on the patio or sitting by the pool. This morning, Kendall, and more importantly, her mom, are back with some great picks for the month of May and beyond. Take it away, ladies.
Okay, Mom, it's May. Time for some good reads. Go for it.
Yes, and May, since it happens to be Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, I chose two of my favorite authors of all time, Amy Tan and Lisa See. So we're going to start out with one of your favorite novels, which happens to also be a great movie, by the way. It is called The Joy Luck Club. It's an older book. It was written in 1989, and if you haven't read it since then, I strongly suggest you revisit it because I think you'll have a whole new take on how you feel about it. This is a book first book ever that made me actually cry when I read it, and I've been hooked on historical fiction ever since. It's a story of four mothers and four daughters. In 1949, these four women found each other. They were all Chinese immigrants, and they began meeting to play mahjong in San Francisco, where they all immigrated to. And they didn't just play mahjong, they also kind of shared their sorrows about the things they had left behind when they immigrated from China, and they tried to share these things with their daughters. And so it's basically about an immigrant experience with this deep and often complicated connection with daughters and mothers. And truly one of my favorite books, so descriptive and beautiful, but also filled with sorrow. But I loved it. I think you should all read it again if you haven't read it yet.
Yeah,
my second book.
Everything you said, I saw the movie first. You had us watch it, and then I read the book, and it's just beautiful. It's so good.
So The Island of Seawomen, written in 2019, a little newer, by Lisa See. I don't think I've ever read a book by Lisa See that I did not absolutely love. Everything's been a winner in my eyes. This one is set on the Korean island of Jeju. It follows the friendship of two young women over many decades. Starts around the time that Japan is colonizing their island, goes through the Korean War, World War II, all the way up through wetsuits and cell phones. And these two young women meet when they begin their work as Haenyeo. The Haenyeo of this island, deep-seated, hundreds of years long tradition where the women, the females of the island, did all the dangerous and physical work of diving without any wetsuits, without any equipment at all. They just dove and did the fishing. So in other words, they brought home the money for the family, and the men stayed home and raised the children. This book is about courage, also filled with sorrow and pain, and yet it's one of my favorite books, I believe, of all time. It's very descriptive, which is why sometimes it's hard to read, because the descriptions are like you are right there in some very painful times in history. What I loved about it, I learned so much about this island and these women that I knew nothing about before. I've never read any of this in a history book. And I just don't want you to miss this one. Island of Seawomen, Lisa See. That's what I have.
You have some really good ones. Mine's a little different. So I read this book a few months ago, actually, and then told all of you needed to read it. It was one of those perusing, and I liked the title. That's how easy this was. It's called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Weird title, got me. So somebody wrote, it's like a mix of Agatha Christie, Groundhog's Day, and dystopian novel. And that's the best way I can describe it. There is this man, Aidan Bishop. He knows the rules, it says. This woman, Evelyn Hardcastle, will die every single day at the same time until he changes the cycle. The problem is, every time he thinks he's got it figured out, the new day starts and he's in a new body and he's a new person. It's the most twisted, odd novel. When I was reading it, a woman actually was in a public space reading it, and she came up to me and said, "Is that this book?" And I said, "Yes." How'd you know? Because I was looking at the map in the front. You always know it's a good book if there's a map of the grounds in the front of the book. And she said, try to remember all the clues, because it's a murder mystery. And so I read the book trying to remember, and I still truly couldn't figure it out, just like an Agatha Christie novel, until the last 20 or so pages. And then I was even still like, oh, left field, didn't see that one coming. Really, really good if you're into those kind of books and you don't mind a little bit of mystery and spookiness, like Downton Abbey era, Great Britain, back then, murder mystery. Pretty cool.
Kendall joins me now. You talked. Your mother actually let you talk there.
I know. We talked ahead of time, and she was like, I think these two books are going to be really good, and it's brief, and I've got it. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll talk. Cool.
I love it. She can take over the whole thing as far as I'm concerned, the whole show.
She's got all the good, honestly, since I was a little kid, that's why we started doing this. She's got the best book recommendations. She does.
Yeah.
So.
Remind folks, she works
as a children's librarian.
Yeah.
Or for the library, she always corrects me. She's not a librarian, but she's with the children's book department.
Great. I love it. I love that you got to talk. If you missed any of the book picks, we'll be posting this segment on our Facebook page a little bit later and our YouTube page. Just search for Jason Show TV. But please, we are a small but mighty staff. Give us a little patience. We'll have those up a little bit later today. I love it. Like when we get done, we'll immediately, no doubt, in this break, we will get an email that goes, where is that? Give us a moment. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this, everyone. Where is it?